And then we're on.
Okay.
And today's guest will be David Bickford. David, how are we?
Thank you very much indeed for having me, Ken. Very good, thanks. And you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. First and foremost, thanks for coming on the show. Very interesting topics. You work with MI5, MI6, with intelligence. You've also a book author, very outspoken about certain things in the world that he's speaking about. But yeah, it's good to have you on it. Give people a different spin of it and a different understanding of the importance of what actually goes on kind of underground in the world when you've lived it firsthand, basically.
Yep. No, thanks very much for having me. I was legal director for MI5 and 6. It was a fascinating job, yes. Sure.
So, just before we get into everything, I'll go back to the start, I guess.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I just want, did you get clearance to speak about certain things?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And because there's not many who do get clearance,
No,
is there?
not at all.
So you must be trusted then with the information that you have to then...
Yeah, when I first joined the agencies, it was a time when they were going from the Cold War into terrorism. Cold War hadn't ended, but there was a different take on things, and there'd been some problems with the right book, written illegal, and they tried to stop it and couldn't. And they decided that perhaps they needed a proper legal department, plus the ability for the agency to talk to the press. So my first job there, apart from being a lawyer, was to be the liaison with the media. So I was able to talk to the media, got into this sort of habit of talking about the things I could talk about, talk about the things I couldn't, and therefore I've been trusted since then to talk on the basis that I won't say things that I shouldn't.
You must be very well trusted then, because normally people speak out of school, but again in that sort of environment I imagine it would be helpful. And I know it's a bit cringe for the man who's lived it, but you see your James Bonds and stuff, MI6 people, it's fascinating for people, that sort of, obviously that's fiction, but you know with MI5, MI6, it's always, nobody really ever knows what's going on. But again, before we get into everything though, I always like to go back to the start of my guest, David, get a bit of understanding about you, where you grew up and how it all began.
Yes, right. Well, I think it sort of started exciting because I was born between two air raids of the war. My mother said the first brought me on and the second finished me off. And my father was abroad in Ceylon during the war. He operated against the Japanese. When he came back, he set up an airline in South America with a friend of his in the RAF. And so my first trip to Brazil was when I was age 6. I was put into boarding school, obviously, parents were abroad. But that was exciting. Converted comma across the South Atlantic, which in those days was quite a good trip, and spent a lot of time, summer holidays, going out to see my parents at boarding school, which was absolute bliss because no parental authority, so I was totally independent and wild. Sort of set one up for MI5 and MI6.
Yeah, so you had a pretty good upbringing then, pretty adventurous.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, so it was tremendous, and also meeting kids of my own age. I was in South America, Brazil, Argentina. It gave one a very early big scope on other people in the world, how they live, and it was a very exciting childhood. I used to live with my grandparents. They were out in a lone rectory in the countryside in Huntingdon, and there were surrounded refugees there, so we got to go there, and there were great countries and roads. So, yes, very free childhood.
Was Dad around a lot? Was he around a lot? Or
I saw him during summer holidays.
is that it?
He's brilliant. I mean, both my parents are absolutely brilliant. Never had any problems. They were wonderful. And they let me free, which I think is very important.
Because obviously, with not having the parents around there, people's lives can go totally different. And I always speak about this, but the majority of people who get involved in crime come from the broken home. Now, it's not as if your parents abandoned you, but they weren't there where you've got the fun to kind of discipline from your father and the loving energy from your mother, did it affect you in any way growing up? Or did you just feel free and alive because you travelled the world, had good grandparents?
Yeah.
Were you a good kid then?
No.
No?
I was usually in trouble at school. But we had an interesting system at boarding school.
What boarding school?
I was boarding school in Huntingdon and then downside boarding school in Somerset. And the heads of both those schools believed in a lot of sport. And right from the beginning, at boarding, my first boarding school, we were all put into boxing for the first term. And that was very carefully managed because those kids who didn't like it weren't the other kids who seemed to get on with it were taken on and taught boxing. And I think in a sense that teaches you two things. First of all, how to look after yourself, and second, if you've got an opponent that one might be being beaten up oneself, quite frequently. But if you're in a position where you're stronger than your opponent, you also have to start thinking, well, do I really want to take this guy out? So it also teaches you a balance in life, but I think that was stable ever since.
Yeah, it's so important for any sort of combat, for any young man on this planet, whether it's boxing, karate, Muay Thai, whatever it is, any sort of combat sport is so good for the mindset, also calms you as an individual, because every madman I know, every guy who shouts and screams, are the ones who can't fight. I used to train in a place called the Grip House in Glasgow and do Muay Thai, and you would never think of these people in there were trained killers. They're just so placid, skateboarders, just getting on with their life. Not everybody, but they were just good people. They never screamed or shouted. We go to the local pub, everybody's loud, everybody's daft.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, it shows a sense of weakness. Never realised that for many years later, but we're living in a very shocking generation. It's the gayest generation we've ever been in. I think 1 in every 5 is gay, bi, trans, and I've no issues with any of it, but we're becoming very soft and weak and slow men and women's roles naturally on this planet. We're kind of lost in a system where everybody's confused, and it's a soft, very soft and weakened generation that we're in.
Yeah, I've got 9 grandchildren, ranging from a doctor down to a grandkid who wants to go out and watch penguins in Antarctica. And I find in their own way they're very strong mentally. I agree. I mean, certainly for my generation, the sort of wartime generation, we were all brought up to scrub a floor if things went wrong. You couldn't sit down and think about life too much. You were sent out to do things. I think that has changed. I'm not sure that it's changed for the worse. I think we've got certainly a generation that I look at, generations aging from 32 down to 10, that seem to me to have life pretty well under control. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I just feel as if it's becoming a weaker society. I don't know why, but more people are more likely to come to addiction, crime. A lot of people struggle mentally now, suicide rates through the roof as well. There's a lot of external things out there that people seem to be gravitating towards instead of, I don't say the system's a system, but a lot of people are struggling mentally, financially, and I think some sort of more discipline of the old school mentality of stuffing up a little bit, push on, play the big boy pants up and kick on, but again, everything's feelings and emotions, and I understand that as well, but I just feel for the men's side of things, I don't know if it's as strong as it was 50 years ago, 70 years ago. Men were more respected, they looked after themselves well, but I just feel these things are changing a little more. Maybe I'm wrong as well, but that's just the people who I interview and the things that I see. And homelessness as well, a lot of big numbers are through the roof and a lot of struggles.
Yes, that's the struggle. I think is harder. I think that's certainly right. I think in many ways I've been very lucky to work with people who are able to look after themselves, certainly 5 and 6. And the women in there are incredible. And they look after themselves, but they also understand where the stresses and strains come from, and they're able to handle them. And that society is completely across the board. Who entered very young, and they all work together. Whether that's partly because they've been chosen to have that. I don't despair of the young generation that way.
Yeah. How long were you in boarding school for?
From 6 till I left it when I was 17.
So left at a very young age to find out
Yeah.
find out for yourself what life is about.
That was really good because I came out at the time when National Service had finished. I was too young to do National Service, so a lot of people went to university, and my headmaster said, David, you're going to waste your time at university, go straight in and do an apprenticeship in the law, which I did. So I had 4.5 years starting licking stamps on envelopes, being given all the worst trials, generally being kicked around, did me an enormous amount of good. Again, I think I was lucky because I was able to be independent and free and to sort of handle that.
Because everybody else had that mindset though, David, at the boarding school where it was kind of get on with it and think for yourself basically.
Yeah.
Did everybody have that? Was it because there was more discipline? Or, like you say, there was a bit more freedom but with a lot of discipline of this is your structure, this is your plan, this is your daily routine. There was more routine to your life but it gave you more purpose?
Yes.
Do you think that's important?
I think that's very important.
What about national service? Do you think that should be come back?
I think it was very good when it was there, and there's a big debate about that at the moment. Whether or not we need it in terms of setting up a structure to protect ourselves against possible extremism, I don't know. I leave that to the military. Again, I get where you're coming from about this, and I think it is incredibly important. But I think also my generation were used to a much sort of harder environment. We didn't see until you were 6.
Yeah.
You know, as my grandkids keep groaning, you know, he's going to tell us all about the first banana he had. You know?
Yeah. Every generation's different. Obviously, my grandparents, they fought in the wars and I love them to bits. But when in Glasgow, the bombings and Clyde Bank and trying to bomb the ships that they were going through it, had all the lights were switched off, there's no electricity. When you see people struggle today, you think, what is it you're actually struggling about? Like, we've got it so good, but I don't know, again, if technology plays a massive part of people's mindset where it's slowing it down and everything's reels and different videos and constant of trying to portray a fake life, to try and fit in with people who don't really care about you anyway. So even though it was more difficult probably to survive back then, especially with food, I just think now technology can damage mindsets as well, where people can get stuck in a bubble. So everything changes through time, and obviously you're guinea pigs for mobile phones and technology and radiation and all the stuff that comes from it. But it's just, this is why it's important, these podcasts, to get an understanding of your life and what you went through and how you dealt with it and what you overcome. So was there much discipline in the boarding school then for you to then have purpose?
One used to get beaten frequently.
Did you?
Oh yes.
If what? For what reason?
If you didn't, if you failed to in your own work, that was certainly good. And I mean, if you were ever caught going down to the pub, you know, that would certainly be a very, very good thing. I remember once I bought my, I had a little 2-2 airline grandfather had given me. I bought that to school to shoot pigeons. I was found out that earned me a canes as well. So yeah, it never did one any harm. I'd much prefer to cane or them than put in my room for the day. It was only that quickly and get on with life.
Did anybody ever become more, not anti-authority, but against the system because they were getting caned? A lot more people fragile towards it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there were. But then on the whole, they were sensible and kept clear of the problems with my burning and that.
Yeah, you never listened. You were going back for more punishment. What did you do after boarding school, David?
Yes, I went into
Law?
Apprenticeship as a law. Yes, which I found really exciting. I went in with my uncle, and he was the lawyer who defended Ruth Ellis in the last one. That damaged him enormously. But he was a very, very good criminal lawyer. I saved Ruth Ellis, of course, because she was caught pumping some bullets into someone who was quite difficult to defend. Precisely. So he taught me criminal law, and I was able to, after my apprenticeship, go into the courts, which again was very exciting, and come on my stage. So yes, so I went into private practice, and after about 3 years, I looked at the senior partner, the consultant, the guy who was just sitting the ground. Oh, look, this isn't for me, I need something more exciting. And my wife, Carrie, bought me an advertisement that said they were looking for a legal advisor to the government of the Turks and Caicos Islands in the Caribbean. We looked at each other and said, well, let's go, which was great. So I wound up in the Turks and Caicos Islands. Now that was fascinating. The time was the ministers there wanted to move away from what was fishing into a tourism industry, and also at that time they were setting up finance centres, what was called tax havens. And my job there was to draft the legislation to help that happen. It was very exciting time.
Why did you never go down with your father in the military?
Eyesight, but also I wasn't really keen on that. I mean, he was
He didn't force that on you then?
No, not at all.
I know you said you were going to do that someone gave you the guidance to do law instead. You were going to go down that route, but...
Yeah, I wanted to do the law, I think largely because my uncle was defending the case at the time. It was very exciting. I thought that was a great career to have. And that's what put me into it. My father said, you do what you want.
Supported them. Yeah. That's important. So see the woman who got hanged, or asked to get hanged, and the UK was, what did she do? Shoot someone 6 times?
She shot her lover, 6 times. He was a bastard. Today, of course, she would have probably married daughter and been in for 6 months. I mean, he was so bad. But in those days, you didn't have a defence of diminished responsibility. So she was hanged, which was appalling. I mean,
what year was this? 40s?
1957.
It's still mad that
53 years.
only a few years ago that you used to get, was it in the street or was it in court? She got hanged. How did it work back then?
Oh, she in prison.
Was it in prison they hanged them?
Yeah.
I know people used to get hanged on the streets and...
Yes.
I don't know if that was 1800s and shit. That was...
But it was gruesome.
So you ended up in the Cayman Islands?
Ended up in Caicos Islands, which is nearby the Cayman Islands, the bottom end of the Bahamas chain.
And how was that experience?
That was extraordinary. I mean, first of all, the West Indians are wonderful. So one had an absolute blissful relationship with them. It was great, friendly. It was an open book to be able to help create the legislation for the tourist industry and finance sector, which was really interesting. Then, of course, there were the Americans. There were 2 bases there. One base was the Navy SEALs, the other base was the RAF satellite station. So we watched the moon landing there, which was pretty amazing, actually in the satellite station. And we had trouble with the Cubans, and we also had a very strong chief of police there. I mean, there was sort of thing that would happen first. He came into my office and he said, David, you would have come and see us. And we went up to the airport, and there was the guy who used to run the local airline, Aztec. He was an ex-bomber pilot, and we climbed on board, and Andy said, as we were going out, he said, we're going out because we've got a Cuban fishing boat fishing in our waters. Well, at that time they were having a row with Cuba about who owned what as far as the fishing area is concerned. Anyway, we went off, and I said to Andy, well, what are we going to do? This guy won't have any number plate, as it were. We won't be able to land in the sea and do anything about him to watch. So they took us in very, very low, and Andy had 2 packets of yellow dye that he leaned out of the window and dropped. And he missed this coat. There was yellow dye everywhere. The coat was absolutely untouched. Anyway, he told Barclay to go back and give a really low pass just to scare this guy. And all he got was the finger as he went by it from the captain of this fishing boat. So that was more important.
How long were you there for?
Yes.
Another good experience then?
Yeah, very, very good. Huge learning curve to learn how to draft legislation as well, how to convert ministers' wishes into law so that they got what they want. And also to try and write in protections that meant that taxation wasn't going to be used for criminal purposes. That was never even successful for any taxation because
Yeah, it's still tax free, isn't it? Cayman Islands.
Yeah, they're all tax
So
free.
who runs the Cayman Islands?
Britain.
So they're still run by British. Still? British there. So why is that allowed then? So there's always loopholes everywhere and people find a loophole, but that's always been the place for people to then take their money.
Yes, it's a very good point. The islands themselves aren't self-sufficient, so they need tourism and they need to be a financial offshore. There's nothing wrong with being a financial offshore because that enables corporations to deal with their, or international corporations to deal with their economy sensibly and in an even field. The problem is, how do you stop money launderers, criminals, organised criminals, terrorists using these islands? There are international agreements, of course, which govern the use of these islands, but nevertheless, it's almost impossible these days to ensure that you know exactly who is coming to deal in your island or what money they're putting through the books. There are various ideas that one has put on the plate. I spent 4 years after I left the agency dealing with tax havens on the basis of creating legislation to avoid the problems of money laundering. But I can't see any particular way of stopping it altogether unless you've got to shut down tax havens.
But is that not a good way then for, like you said, British rules? So is that a good way also for people who are with big money in these offshore accounts to then get an understanding of who are they? Who's doing it?
That may be the case.
Yeah, this is citizens. So then when you're looking at the outside of having these offshore accounts, because it's the people who are doing the shop. It's not your average guy here just trying to launder money, a few thousand, you're talking hundreds of millions, probably billions. So it's like banking system here, there's red flags. If somebody gets more money than it should, there's a phone from the bank that says, where's that coming from? Or they close your account, which is understandable, but there, is it easy enough to set up, or there's a lot of regulations that you have to go through, rules and regulations you have to go through to then set things up?
Yes, you have to.
It's not just a case of easy going on a phone or an app or going into a bank.
You have to show, who exactly you are and where your money's coming from. The difficulty is with organised crime, of course, they employ lawyers, accountants, bankers, anyone who's crooked in those fields to advise them on how to do it and how to get away with bypassing the regulations. And for the organised criminals, it is not that difficult.
So what did you do when you come back?
See, I was asked to go into the Foreign Office to be a lawyer there, which, again, that's another fascinating life in the Foreign Office. You're travelling all over the place and meeting people from all nationalities, dealing with different aspects of international relations. I mean, for instance, I was asked to be the legal advisor for the British space program. That was way back in the days where satellites were just beginning. And we had, I remember two international dealings I was involved in. One was the International Space Station, the agreement that governments were running of the International Space Station. Now, who would think there would be an agreement to govern it? But yes, there is. The other one was for Inmarsat, when we were setting up the first Earth stations, governing how they were to be used, how communications were to come to the Earth station, and how the satellites were to be used. Very, very interesting stuff, cutting edge.
Who have you got to work with then? Because obviously for putting anyone to put satellites up, they've got to be, obviously say China, Russia, UK, America, has everybody got to be in agreement to how many satellites they can put up, or is it a free-for-all that people can do what they want?
Well, no, it's definitely up to people.
Thousands and thousands of satellites now.
Yeah. And what's really interesting about that is one of my grandsons, his dissertation for his last year at Swansea University, he's studying aerospace engineering. His dissertation is how do you capture space junk and dispose of it safely. So it's sort of full circle, and we have a bit of a laugh because he looked at me and with sweet, he said, you weren't really talking about that back then.
Probably blame you.
for creating it.
For creating it all.
Yes.
So how advanced was it back then though? I always believe, but I don't know, I'm not in the know of being in that society where you're in and they're working with it, but I believe the government, or whoever it is, are always 50 years, 100 years, possibly more ahead of the stuff that we get now. What was the advance like with that technology then? Was it, because obviously you can get the satellites now, they can come down and you can view people, we've seen that now, the proof is there, but was it advanced then, 70s? Was it, no?
So it was very unsophisticated. I mean, at the time, of course, it was the most sophisticated thing because watching the moon land. This was way on the side.
Did you see this? Because there's a lot of people are sceptical that the moon landings are fake.
Oh, I was in the US tracking station on Perth and Airport, which actually followed the moon landing. I was there and watched it. So yes, I can say it was real.
That's mad, David, that you've witnessed that.
Yeah,
But like I say, people can make videos up now. Again, I'll stay open-minded to everything because I've never seen it with my own eyes, so I'll always be sceptical. Like I say, I can never discredit anybody, or I can never be 100% proof because I've never seen those things. But it's still intriguing. I would love to think the moon landings are real. I'd love to think we're bouncing about in space in the late 60s, and obviously with the technology now, I think our mobile phones have more technology in it than the spacecrafts that actually went to the moon. What were you thinking then when you seen someone on the moon?
I was thinking this is just unreal. I mean, it was sheer excitement. I mean, the excitement in that room, in traffic, was huge. It was very exciting.
Why did you never send anybody back?
I really don't know. I think that they found that very, very difficult. I mean, the cost is just immense. And if one looks at the cost of what went into that then,
I know Musk is trying to get people to Mars. Do you think that's a possibility?
Oh, Carrie and I have put our space to Mars because we reckon that if Mars is populated, they're going to be built-in grandparents.
You've got the technology and the know to make it last. What about, I know it's a bit of out there question, but what about UFOs, intelligence out there? Do you believe there's other species out there?
There may very well be. I mean, I don't believe in UFOs. I've never seen anything that's potentially a bit like you. I've never actually seen it before I think it's true. Whether or not there's life out there, there may very well be. There's no reason why it shouldn't be.
Life puzzles me, if I'm honest, David. The anatomy, the brain, the central nervous system, the creator of how we're sitting here and cameras and how it happens at this time. Just, if I think about it too much, my mind can go. Then sometimes I think as humans we can search too much and forget to actually just live. Because life is a beautiful journey. It's also very destructive as well. Obviously we touched on that in the interview, but it puzzles me, life. It puzzles me how it's, why we're here, how we're here, who created us.
Yes, and I think that goes back to what you were saying earlier, that the more you meet people, the more you travel, the more puzzles you get.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was almost about to say it's easier, but actually it isn't. It's a joy to travel and see others there, others interact. But what I think is the puzzle is how we manage to do it. In fact, if you look at the way we live, although we've got major troubles at the moment, in fact, on the whole, we get on pretty well.
Humans are decent people.
Yes.
We are decent people. Like, if there's a catastrophe or whatever, people, human beings' first instinct is to go and help. But we are good people. We can get caught up in a society of, listen, you get beat up at school by the teachers and stuff. That could send you in a different outlook in life. Like some students, I'd imagine it would. Like, I've been speaking about this recently, but that you had the alcoholic father. You had twins. One became an alcoholic like his father, another one couldn't even look at a drink because he didn't want to be like his father. So everybody's got choices of, you never know your circumstances of your upbringing either can really make you as a child, may God break you, but it just puzzles me life. It's genuinely, because I speak to so many different people, and it puzzles me because you talk about meeting all these people, you go into all these tribes, everybody's tribalism. You get into all these different tribes and cultures. It's amazing how all these people look different, they speak different, they dance different, they're more welcoming, other people. It's just how everybody's traits are different. Why do you ever think everybody can never just go on in life? Because they are all the same when you break it all down as humans.
Yes, I think genetics has obviously got a lot to do with how you act. I'm sure. I mean, I think when if you look back at boarding school, some people were able to take things much easier than others. It's got nothing to do with their upbringing. So I think there are genes that are in them. Things like alcohol and things like that useful. And I think that the idea that one can sort of train oneself one way or another with
Yeah, do you believe in genetic DNA, things can get passed down of the same as the grandparents, the uncles? Because you've got instinct, you have got warriors out here, you have got leaders, you've got these guys in big white horses and the swords and they're leading people into battle. You have got these leaders now, not so much they're leading people into battle, but they're winners. They're just ingrained, they're born to win, they're born to lead. Did you see that as well in your upbringing, the people you were surrounded with, you just knew that someone they were just born to lead?
Yeah.
Did you see that, feel that?
We did. And I think that's certainly true of the agency too. These people are born to go into dangerous situations, handle those situations, come out even line balance, which is hugely important to keep their integrity. And yes, and in a sense, the agencies look out for those qualities or passions specifically to make sure that when people are put into that those passions.
When you were in the Cayman Islands and you're working all this stuff and then you're seeing the mainland, and did you realise then, okay, this is what your life is about, that's what you wanted to do?
No, I always wanted to be a lawyer.
Still?
Yes, I think it was the excitement of it. I've been lucky in the sense that the law's given me a really, really adventurous life. I've done all sorts of jobs that keep exciting. I think it's exciting, providing you keep a sense of balance.
How do you do that though?
You understand that. And again, I think if you are, and I go back to this, if you're lucky enough to sort of not be under parental influence all the time and to be slung into a boarding school where you have to look after yourself, one of the things you absolutely need is balance.
Because I know a lot I've had with QTs on and lawyers, and they never really seem to switch off. When they're working, they go home with their work. It's always non-stop, and they just love the craft and the job, and that sense of, listen, it's a sense of power as well. You've got someone's life in your hands. Did you feel that?
No, I never felt that, because I think if one allows oneself to think that, you become unbalanced. You either become too cautious because you're worried about the fact you have got someone's life, or you become overconfident.
What makes a good lawyer?
Talent.
Is that what it all comes down to?
You've got to be able to stand outside your client and look at them, balance up the players. And that was really important in the agency, and also in the film office, what I see in Japan and America. I mean, if ever you go into a meeting with Russians or Americans in terms of moving towards an agreement, make absolutely sure that when everybody sits down and says, oh, we're bringing up to it, you still have one more document in your briefcase to be able to stand. Because the Americans and the Russians will always have one more point after everybody thinks the agreement is finished.
Yeah. That's why we've probably got so much disruption now, because there's nobody coming to an agreement. Do you think, what is that? Is that tactics? Or is it ego? Is it pride? What is that? Is that what it is? Because I actually watched an interview. Did you watch it? His interview done last week. He done an interview with Tucker. And he said he had an agreement in place. It was Americans that pulled out last minute or something and said no. Is that correct?
I don't know. I mean, I don't
That's what Putin says from his own mouth.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, what happens then when you come back, Cayman Islands? You work for what was it like working in the Foreign Office?
That was very exciting. As I say, meeting with people, dealing with issues that were absolutely fascinating, defence issues at that time. Did a lot of work with the Americans counting drugs, which was where I first met up with the FBI, which was fascinating. A lot of human rights work, which is something that we talk about a lot now, but back then human rights really wasn't understood terribly well. We talked about balance and fairness. That's not just right to life. You have a right to freedom of speech, but that right can carry peace, crime, that sort of thing. I think that the balance is now on properly understood. I think the balance, the rights also have equal responsibilities and I'm not quite sure that the plot has the responsibility that we need to balance expectations.
How bad is the drug trade? Because cocaine, if you go back to the plant, the cocaine, the coca, coca plant, you go back to the coca plant, it's been here for, I think, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, we used to use it in, like, ceremonies, and they've had it in Coca-Cola, and obviously now they've changed that. I think it became bad in the 70s. But how big is the drug trade? So obviously we touch on human trafficking, which is probably overtook the drug trade, but how big is the trade in drugs all around the world? How organised is it? Obviously you have Pablo Escobar and other guys from the South American side of things, but obviously you've worked in it first hand. How big is this trade?
The interesting thing recently is because the program of eradication of stopped, there's now a sort of glut of cocaine in the market, and therefore more cocaine coming through. The interesting thing I've heard is that certainly the younger generation aren't who experience the younger generation. I think the biggest reason is sort of for social recreation. The price of cocaine has gone right down recently to hold the life. Interdictions of drugs. I think, again, when one talks about the social use of cocaine, I'm not really sure that the users quite understand what they're getting into, apart from the fact that medically, of course, it doesn't do you much good. But what they don't understand is when they hand over on the quid for cocaine, that 50 or 60 quid is going straight into the pockets of an organised crime organisation, and that money will help that organisation continue to grow at the same time as keeping people in order. So what you're looking at is there is a almost direct correlation between cash that goes into the organisation via your street, goes to that organisation, goes to people who are being murdered, killed, tortured. So when people take their line, they're not thinking about that. They're not thinking, oh God, actually this money is going to something that's absolutely appalling.
Why not legalise it then?
You could legalise it. They tried legalising marijuana, haven't they, in the States, but with pretty disastrous results. They tried it in Amsterdam. I don't see that legalising it does much good. I think that the future will probably lie with this new generation coming through, the younger generation. They want to keep their minds active.
I think that's what it needs to be taught. It's not cool, it's damaging to the brain, it's damaging to the people around you. You become a shittier person, you become a shittier husband, shittier father, shittier brother, shittier son, like anything. Because I think, is it Sigmund Freud? Which is a guy in the 1800s, because the cocoa plant, he was getting benefits from it mentally, but I think then people are taking mental breakdowns as well. So everything grown from there, you've got the heroin plant, you've got heroin, cocaine, the poppy field, but it's how you manipulate it into what it does to the mind. Because I've spoke to drug lords, they've been on the podcast, they said we're putting tyres in it, which causes cancer to the brain, cement, rat poison, it's all cut, so you're not even getting proper cocaine. By the time it comes to the streets, I think it's 10-20% of the shit that people are snorting, but again, it's a big business to What was it like then working with the FBI? Did you know what you were getting yourself involved with?
Yes, I was interested. I mean, the first case, funnily enough, I had was in person take-up violence, and there was a businessman who had caused a huge house on the gold. We knew that if we tried to prosecute this particular person in the person take-up violence, he was so powerful there that probably wouldn't get a jury conviction. So we asked the FBI to come in. We sent in an agent that they'd used in conjunction and that was the first time I saw an operation go radically wrong. We sent him in with a wire, and we got this businessman on the pretext of introducing a new line of paper coming through the islands by. And he was met on the doorstep of this magnificent house, and the businessman said, "Oh, we'll come out outside and we'll have a rum punch." Goes outside, there he is on the terrace overlooking the sea. The wind had turned northwest. We couldn't hear a thing on the wire.
What were you thinking then? Was this a drug lord?
This was a drug lord that we'd sent or the FBI had sent our informant.
Why did you not pat you down for a wire? Why are you so confident that you weren't wired?
It's extraordinary. Yeah, and that goes down to the success of the informant, lulling the businessman into thinking that he really was a guy who wanted to come in and sort of run through this guy through the island.
Is that what makes a good agent?
Yes.
Building trust?
Yeah.
So you can walk in with a wire without any paranoia?
Absolutely.
It's mad, isn't it, how people can... Because I've had too many undercover police officers on that blows my mind how cold they can be, because the guy I had on, his podcast actually in Thursday, he was an undercover gangster. Listen, if I'm honest, and I said to him, I was always raised to hate the police, because all my uncles, they were all dodgy bastards. You know what I mean? So they're always... We didn't hate them because they were out to get them, but you grew up to hate them, but then obviously you realise the job that they do is unbelievable. The stuff that they see every day from the deaths, and it's a negative job, and they've seen a lot of pain, and I've nothing but respect for them for what they do now. It took me many years to actually realise what these people do in their life and the sacrifices that they have to do to try and keep the world in running order. Of course they need laws, or else it'd be a free-for-all out there, because people are scatty. But he went undercover as a gangster, befriended this guy for 2 years, and he was just about to pull the plug on the guy, and the guy asked him to be the godfather of his son. But that's some dark shit to pretend to... It's like getting a bad wife who just fucks you for your money, and it just pulled the wool over your eyes for years and you've believed all her shit. But I feel as if for a man it would be harder to feel that you had a brother and then to find out it was all an act. It must be difficult. Because I remember watching the movie Donnie Brasco, I don't know how real it was, but you've got to be some cold bastard as well to then do that life. That's just because any sort of blowing your trumpet, you're dead. You're not just working with some true gob arsehole who's on the streets. You're working with the top team of the crop who kill for fun. Like, were you nervous going into that job?
Well, I was being a lawyer.
Yeah.
I wasn't actually. I mean, I went on to an operation in order to find out how it operates. It wasn't my job to go out on operations, because there again you can get skewed. You've got to stand back. But obviously, one as a lawyer in Time 6, one was involved in operations in order to basically lead a church. So, yes, because if you're operating to engage people, it's necessary to go in proportion. Never ceased to impress me, and one felt incredibly privileged working with agents, men and women, officers who went out shooting, incredibly bad, winning them over, winning their confidence, getting them very.
You see when you're the lawyer behind the scenes, if you've got to brief them for what to say and where they've got to be, because obviously there's a lot of red tape in certain areas they can be, in certain areas they can gather information, evidence, because you have to go through everything where they could travel, where they could be. Like, so obviously if you're British, you can't really go to America unless you get through to them. If you've got to go through everything, because if they go to court and there's one thing I missed, they could get the court case throughout, because you've got to be specific on certain things that they can do and be when they're on a job.
Incredibly difficult too. There again, one was always impressed by how they worked under those conditions, because one of the problems in bringing a case to court, and that's if one really wants to get to the end of it, and that's what it's all about, different aspects these days in terms of bringing on board. But the objective would be to get the criminals into court, the prosecutors. You're now dealing with intelligence which is secret, and you're then having to translate that secret intelligence into open evidence and open court. Now that's quite a tricky business, because what you have to do is to anticipate what evidence you can get in court that the defense should evidence be. Second, you have to make sure that there's nothing that you're hiding that might help the defense. So when you're planning an operation, you have to plan it so not only do you get the information through this, but also you're not getting information that would be useful to the defense that could open up the door for them to automatically do another operation. Very, very difficult, very tricky. And the officers themselves who went into this operation were so good, because they had to cover all that information, apart from the fact that meeting with an agent is a dangerous situation, or alternatively your engine is a flexible time card. And in each of the dangerous situations they had to come out, write up reports, not only about the intelligence aspect, but also about the evidential aspect, so that when you went into court you could show exactly what they've been doing. But hiding the secret stuff didn't help the defense.
So you're not just, but you're not just an average lawyer. You're not someone who's going to the courts. You're working all around the world. It must have been some buzz for you. Did you realise what you were involved in, or was it just a normal day thing for you? Did you know?
It was day to day.
Right. Were you buzzing from it, or were you just taking it like any other job?
I was taking it.
Serious?
Yeah, absolutely. It was fascinating. I mean, one felt privileged. You know, every day you went into the office, you were privileged because you were working with people who were so incredibly good. So that was a huge privilege. You were privileged because you were working with the law in a way where you were creating situations,
Is this the elite, the best of the best working kind of in these environments?
Oh, if you're looking at people like Elon Musk, I mean, you've met SAS.
Yeah.
They are
CIA.
CIA.
Because the guy from the CIA, he was just a university guy. So he said, listen, you've got to take everything with a pinch of salt. You were so in that life. You can feed me whatever information you want. You're obviously very good at it, but I understand as well how it works, and you can feed people what they want. But he was CIA, and I can only go what he was saying. He was top of his class in university. He got pins from his university because they were looking at everybody's score sheets and they were recruiting. They weren't just some special forces guy, some macho man. This was a nerd from university, top of his class. He thought it was a joke. He thought it was some sort of joke. That's what he says, but I'd imagine that works. They're just getting the best of the best and seeing what they can get from them. Is that how it works with the sort of intelligence here as well?
Yeah. I mean, funnily enough, one of the reasons I've written about a female agent what to...
Yeah, what is this new bit? We'll plug it as well.
Yeah, no, but I was actually going to say that if you look at it, I know my youngest granddaughter, who actually got me into writing this book because she hadn't done my school stuff, but she reminded me so much of the officers in the 80s. Very, very talented, very bright, but you wouldn't want to meet them on a hockey field. It's that sort of dual edge. Yeah.
What is your book, David? The Russian spy one now? What is the... Got people can buy it?
Oh yeah, that's Katya.
Katya.
Is the first book, and that deals with a Russian intelligence agent. In the first book, she's the Chief Operations Officer of an organisation called the G8 Intelligence Agency. A guy called Cartwright, who was President Gaddafi's money launderer. President Gaddafi was the Libyan president who was killed. He's not a very nice guy. And Cartwright goes off with $500 million of Gaddafi's private personal fortune. Katya is, her father was a KGB officer who was a real swine. He forced her into the intelligence world. On the other hand, her mother was a ballet dancer who had a very glamorous life, and Katya's completely conflicted. On the one hand, she's forced into the intelligence world, which she rather enjoyed. On the other, she'd love the glamour of her mother's life. So she is then asked to go and find this $500 million. Cartwright is protected by Ahmed and the group of very, very senior international terrorists. So he's got to go through them. Then she enters the world of money laundering, which is totally corrupt and betrayed. It's really not well favourite too. So she goes out to Panama to find out where the money's gone, and then winds up in Ambergris, which is a tax haven run by a series of corrupt ministers. And of course she has a love affair there. The question, of course, is, does she go off with him, or does she go off with the money? Like a treasure.
Where can people buy your book, David?
They can buy it on Amazon, Waterstones, and
we'll leave a link in the description. So, MI5, MI6, intelligence. How does one get involved with MI5 and MI6? How does it come about, David?
Yeah, nowadays it's you can apply all on the website. If you're interested in the agency, you apply. They advertise for officers. I was very lucky because I've been involved in defence work in the Foreign Office, and also I've been involved in dealing with the Americans in Council project. And as I said earlier, there was a sea change movement from the Cold War to terrorism, and they needed a sort of different view on the because you cannot prosecute terrorists unless everything, as I said earlier, everything is straight up and double and shared very much. So I was asked to go in and help with the training. Very lucky. Another.
What's the difference between MI5 and MI6?
MI5 operates within the jurisdiction, MI6 operates outside the jurisdiction, or outside the country. But of course these days, international terrorism, international organised crime, all international in a sense, there's right. And of course there are joint organisations that operate to bring together those agencies.
How powerful are they? MI5, because obviously you've got the Russians, you've got the Americans, you've got the Chinese. Are we up there with intelligence, or is everybody kind of under the same umbrella, or is one better than another?
No, I think they're all under the same umbrella. Yeah, I do think so, yes. The standard is, as I said, is incredibly high. So yes, they all operate together, and that doesn't exclude PCH either.
What's it like then being in that environment? What can you talk about? Like how does it operate your daily routine? Is it you get a different job every day, or you're on one for months? How does it work?
Well, it can be. I mean, some people are on months, but these are long-term investigations. So, with teams, and from my perspective, no day is the same because one is doing all sorts of things, including legislation. One is dealing with human rights aspects. So that was a very exciting one, a very interesting one.
Because I've interviewed enough police officers now to understand the police and everything, especially with informers, especially with all the intelligence that we've got now. MI5 is at a whole different level. Like, the whole world kind of looked upon as everything kind of understood, because obviously if you've got these criminal activities and terrorism, there's a lot of intelligence know what's really going on everywhere. Or can still people still fly under the radar, because even though there's terrorism everywhere, there's not been many attacks in the UK. Is that because of how good the intelligence is, or is it just because there's only been a few terror attacks in the UK, and there shouldn't be any, of course, but with lost lives, is that because it's not happening all the time because of how good the intelligence is here?
It is. That is quite simple.
Is that how
yeah. And
if there wasn't here, sorry to interrupt, but if there was no MI5, MI6, do you think there would be terror attacks every day?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but there would be a lot more. They are tentacles spread wide, and they are very, very good at their job. There's nothing worse. There's no worse feeling in the office if the terrorist attack gets there. That's down on the top. It feels better. Something's got through. Could have said. But if you look at it, there's a finite amount of money to support because the public. And unlike James Bond, there isn't a public but you have to work within the budget, and that literally means that you may be studying a particular topic and been going on for a long time, might be something out there, along comes another target, might be more important than the philosopher, and that's the target that might come back and bite you. Because you just don't have the money to do everything.
I thought it was in a free-for-all as well, where there was no money wouldn't be an issue. Because especially with intelligence that you could get to save tens of thousands of lives, where there's not enough funding. I know the funding of the police and stuff is terrible now, and they're dropping down numbers. Could that have an effect on crime in the future, with not enough funding for people to protect themselves?
Yeah, I think what will happen is there will be, I mean, for instance, we don't use telephone as evidence. Every other jurisdiction in the world uses telephone. They would call some telephone stations or they have different things, but nevertheless they do. The reason we can't use it, we don't use telephone stations is the cost. Because you have to bring together everything that is listening to you. If you go to court, that all goes to court. Cost of those cash. I think what we may see is AI will solve that problem, because it will be able to deal with the huge amounts of intelligence and translate it in a way that entirely. So I think AI is going to be incredibly useful to us and that will solve problems.
When did you find out about AI?
I have a friend who's working in the States very closely with Hola, who's in Hopkins at university.
has a man called Mo Godat on. He worked for Google. He's basically in. He was on over 10 years ago. He says within the next 5 to 10 years, AI is going to be 1,000 times smarter than the human. That's scary, is that not scary, David? Or do you think that's a good thing for, like you say, not cutting corners, but getting to the results and the answers faster than anyone? Could change, because I said to him, could they potentially then rule the world? He says no. He says not as long as they're exterminated or anything, robots, but he says it's so powerful that it's going to have a big say in how the world is operated, because it doesn't want to, it's a machine. I think we could be machines also. We could be avatars or maybe you do, but I feel as if you're machines anyway.
So I think Elon Musk
In the brain. Now you see people walking about the goggles and different other metaverses. But there must be a true source to what we've come from. Maybe again this is another sort of metaverse. Maybe we're past here. We'll go back to the true source of what created it. Genuinely again, I don't know. Just from the people who I interview, I'm trying to get an understanding of life. And if I'm honest, nobody really knows what the fuck is going on. Nobody's ever gave me a concrete answer, no matter if it's CIA, SAS, a school teacher, a homeless man, the billionaire. Nobody really, we're just kind of going through life, trying to go through it on a journey unscathed.
Yes, I think that's right. I mean, I don't look at me for an answer.
I'm hoping you had some secret vault with all the answers and some Einstein bits of paper down there like who created us.
I've got the answer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Someone must have the answers. There must be in the archives somewhere where it's all started. It's got to be. You must have something, David boy. Tell the people what they want to know. Who's created us? Who are the UFOs? It's just fascinating. Like, even having you on, it's just fascinating because you're very well spoken, but it's clear you're a very well respected man to get to the level you've got. If you're building a team, you want you in the team because you're very loyal to the cause, and that's very rare to find these days.
Well, it's kind of you to say that. I don't see it that way at all. I just look at my life and think I'm incredibly lucky. I've been married for 60 years. That is lucky. Isn't that amazing? I think
other people might think different, David. I can't even keep a girl for 60 minutes. I need to take a leaf out your book. But are you British through and through, David?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Actually. Yes. I mean, not that matters. I don't see Brits at all. As I said, it's going all the way back in those very early days. Which is really the kids of the beach.
I think that gives a good understanding of humans though, that we are actually all good because you've touched on a lot of different places and different people's cultures and backgrounds. Because like you say, British through and through, it's just been, we spoke about the Americans, they're very patriotic, like World War III starts, you have the majority of them signing up because they love America and they sing their national anthem, their pride with them. Britain I'm not so sure, I don't know, I genuinely don't know, maybe I'm wrong, I believe we're still a very strong nation.
I don't think we like, that's not so British, do we? I mean, we much prefer to sort of hide all that and just get on with it. I mean, I do agree with you. I've worked closely with Russians and come on with enormous work. One part of your brain is so young. But they're human beings just like us. You're not going to break through barriers. I look at the situation at the moment. Who's better than we have to do absolutely everything we can to demonstrate keep the Ukrainians fighting and give as much as we possibly can to the Ukrainians. But there are Russians here that are wanting to defend. I think we can perfectly easily check just with that. There are Russians in Russia who don't want the life that they have, and I think by any extent possible we should try and reach out to them, because shut down in Russia. But I think that rather than sort of cancel each other on the platform each other over here, we might sort of start thinking about what we could do about talking to Russians and discuss what democracy might be then. And I think they must look at us, really talk about free speech, and get together to allow people to come and speak their mind. I mean, I'm not talking about they must mean that really well.
What happened with Ukraine and Russia? How did it all start?
Space.
Because obviously, what about NATO as well? Was that going closer to Russia, or was that an excuse to then target Ukraine?
I don't think so. I think he wants to expand. This is for the glory of Russia. He's gone back down.
When you talk about expand, you're talking about Hitler trying to take over the world. Is that a possibility of a world war III can start? Sorry, two questions, but how big is Russia with China? Because that's two powerful forces as well, can they be stopped if they come close together?
Well, again, I mean, I don't have any answers to that. I've got one look back at some Russian relations and they've always
Have they? Yeah, I don't really know. I'm just going for what I'm saying. Yeah.
And again, I mean, I think we can quite understand together. I think we need to keep in mind that got to be done. And on the other hand, I think we need to remember that got to reach out.
Yeah, that interview was fascinating. But he did say that he wanted an agreement. Everybody sat down, they were ready to sign it, him and Zelensky. And it was America who said no. So he says, but again, I don't know, I'm not intelligent enough to have the answers. I don't know this makes sense, but again, Ukraine, what they had, 15 billion, 100 billion, but when did it ever stop for peace? Do you think there'll ever be peace? Because there's always wars, David, from the patterns that I see in the books that I read. There's always wars, there's always chaos, there's always destruction, and do you ever think there'll be peace on earth that people don't need to fight? Or do you think that's just part of human beings?
I think it's part of human beings. I think it goes back to what we were talking
DNA.
about. DNA. We're always breeding people. We're always doing something we have to put up with.
I think that's what it comes down to, breeding power. It's sad, but I know when human beings lose lives. And like you've probably seen and heard, and you've been under it, where you've seen people things that you knew don't put on or they don't think. But again, is it all about peace and love? I don't know, but if you go back to the scriptures for thousands of years, it's always been destruction, it's always been power, it's always been people trying to take control. What does that come down to? Is that ego? Is that madness in the mind? Again, we come back to the DNA thing where it's just a natural thing for people to try and lead.
Yes, I think it's understand that thinking you are right, I am right. I think we're seeing that. And I go back to this cancelling people out of non-platform, and that's done because people think I am right. This person doesn't have a view. Well, that's exactly what means to do non-platform.
What do you think of Israel-Palestine?
Incredibly difficult. I mean, if you look at the balance of rights there, Israel obviously has the right to self-defense, and that's got to be looked at in the sense that Hamas, the credo of Hamas, so you start from that aspect, and then your Hamas, looking at Israel creating difficulties in the West Bank and their views going all the way back to the beginning. I don't have any trouble telling you that is not a solution. As far as Israel is concerned, the Hamas have a right to life, but that right to life is forfeited in circumstances where it's necessary and so so that's the balance that Israel has to look at. The huge, difficult question these days is harmonize directed at specific targets. I don't know the answer, and I think the only people who would know or would be able to teach some answer are those who are actually on the ground, looking at what's going on from an independent perspective. Because unless you're on the ground and you know exactly what's going on, you can sit in an armchair and cross the side and talk about it. You won't reach what I would consider a fair conclusion.
Who's Britain's biggest threat?
Russia.
Is it? They get a lot of nuclear weapons, Russia.
Yeah.
What happens if people started? Is that a possibility, or is it a lot more that people can't just step up and start firing missiles? Or could that happen, or is that far-fetched?
Well, I went through, the era of the Cold War, where that threat existed. I think the view that I took then, and I still think we really want to settle the nuclear war, and we were going to write that result.
So it's seriously basically. Is there intelligence for people to see missiles coming from a distance, or can missiles fly under the radar? There's some question. No, you've got airplanes that can fly under the radar, but I don't know if it motivates everything. I don't know, I'm not that sure. You see, when you're working MI5, MI6, like, is every day just a new day, a different day?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can start off with a WhatsApp with the lawyers, working out what they're doing, and getting their advice as to what's happening, talking to agencies, talking to what's breaking, talking to the then you might be going off to one of the departments, maybe it's just a foreign office to talk about working on how to very tightly controlled. Then off to the director of the prosecutions, yes, I mean it was very
See if there's no intelligence like MI5, MI6, CIA, you think the world would be in more turmoil than more it is?
yes.
How important is it to have intelligence around the world?
I think so. One has to know as far as possible can what is bad.
Do you get like a script of someone? How does it work? So say you've got some new group that's starting, do you get wind of that and see if you're reading about someone and their plans to come? My method of thinking, how you could come anywhere and hurt innocent children or hurt people, blow themselves up. It does puzzle me that how brainwashed you can be. Like, see when you're getting that intelligence of people want to do that and kill innocent people, kill your own, what do you think then? Does that make you sad to the world, or is it just a case of you trying to be cold towards it, like you say, to find the balance of they're just doing a job, because then you've got grandkids, you've got kids.
Yeah.
Baby cut, anybody that hurts my kids, I know I would die for them, I would kill for them. It's not big man talk, it's just natural, but any father or any man should be a protector. But see, when you're gathering that information, if people want to hurt your own, how do you deal with that?
Well, the first thing you have to do is if you get wind of somebody, a target, then you have to look into that. Before you even make up your mind, you have to make sure that this person is actually something. So therefore it's going to be necessary to look into things. Then you have to work out, well, how bad are they? What's the proportion to and the case is good and the state
There's everything precise, it takes time, you don't make decisions straight away.
No, it's very, very precise, very, very well planned. Yes, you don't go past
yeah, that's what the little guy from the CIA says. He says it's not like this fucking drinking martinis and standing with suits on. They're dressed like little nerds and they're standing places just gathering information for months at a time, isolated, away from everybody. Nobody knows nothing. See, when you're doing that job as well, if you got to, do you judge people, do you get taught how to look at people's mannerisms?
The opposite is part of the training. And training is a massive, constant.
You're learning every day?
All the officers.
Learning every day?
Learning.
Are these guys trained to kill? Or is it SES guys involved as well? Like people who get sent off secret missions, people who are top of the tree?
Well, I mean, SAS is
different. Yeah.
I mean, their training is
These guys up here is different. The way they handle things, the way that they see things, and how cold they are. Like that. I know a lot of people can struggle with PTSD, but these guys are born different. You think a lot of people are born to be like that, to be trained and given orders to then go out and do anything? Or do you believe it can be trained into being something like that?
No, as I say, I think it goes back to
Think so?
I do. But I think, yes, they're special.
That's what I thought. When you do the tests and that, a lot of these boys, it's not the big strong men that win first. They're trying to see the ones that are broken. Do you think it's more in here?
You look at the agency, the first one.
Is it that the MI6 building there, the big green?
Yeah, that's the MI6.
Is that where you went in and worked?
Yeah, I used to work from both.
MI5, MI6.
Yeah.
What's it like walking in? Does you just love what you've done?
When I first,
or does it just become the novel to wear off?
When MI5 set up that building across the Thames, because it was a new building, we used to work in another building, and I went in for the first time, and they had the new security people who walked in. They wouldn't open up. I said, why didn't they open up? They said, they're too heavy. So they're slightly recalibrated.
Because you're about 6'3", 6 feet height.
I was 6'3".
Shrunk really good. Is there a lot of stuff that we don't see on the news and the newspaper that we don't hear about a lot of these people's thoughts, the intelligence that you never hear about?
Of course. You see.
Do you look at the average person, guy like myself, or people who just walk about the street who are oblivious and sometimes maybe envious because they don't actually know what's going on, or would you just think, okay, that was just the job that you took on?
I think I'm unimaginable because I don't.
Sorry, at
all. No. But one thinks one's privileged to work with the officers themselves, and that's I think one's lucky to be on that supplement. But then, hopefully, I mean, a lot of people are unlucky with anything. But you have passion. I mean, yeah, absolutely, and you're incredibly good at it.
Thank you.
I mean, I have to think quite a lot when you're asking these questions.
Yeah, because I don't want to ask silly questions that I know I'm not going to get the answers for, but I want to ask enough that people can get a gist of what goes on. Do you know what I mean? I don't trust people that are asking stupid questions where there's going to be vital information given away with some Russian spy watching this or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And you'll be on it 1,000,000% anyway. You would have read me to a T and understood me anyway.
No, you've made a very good agent.
You bet I am. Someone to approach me and give me a few quid. Listen, I'm all yours. Because police officers have said to me, you'd be a fucking great police officer.
Yeah, you would. You do know what I mean? Absolutely.
It's that friendly environment. Just, yeah.
In fact, I might follow you after this and see if you go into the 6 mil.
Yeah. But it's just interesting how everybody's got different paths in life.
Yes.
And like you say, the people who just walk along the streets, people can only gather information from what you see online and the news, but it's not really real either because the news, everything can manipulate things, and they do know they tell lies now, but a lot of people, you've worked first hand, you've seen terror attacks, like you say, you've got hurt by it, because partly the people in there would probably blame themselves because they'll feel that they've never done their job to 100% would have saved life, but they save lives every other day.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? But again, how is so when you see a terror attack, like, and it does happen, when was the last one? Was it 7/7?
The big one.
Yeah. And
Oh,
it's
it was Manchester.
Manchester. Oh yeah. And they try to do guards for the cunts.
Yeah.
Fucking try to do guards for airport.
Yes, yeah. And you see the people affected, not only the people who have been killed.
Yeah.
But as I said earlier, there's a pretty desperate feeling in the ocean sea.
How is it feeling now? 'Cause when I'm in London, there's always a feeling of unease here. I don't know if that's just me, but I always feel as if there's always borderline something brewing. I know exactly, mate. That should be a walk in the park. That should be like sunshine and peace down here, but it just, I don't know, man. It's always an uneasy kind of environment sometimes. I used to love it down here, but I just feel as if there's something brewing. I get the same feeling in Belfast as well.
Belfast, the one good thing is that they've got together against and one just hopes they don't get hung up on unification and stuff like that. There's a lot of work done in schools and
I love the Irish. I've got friends on both sides, and that's not my field, I'm Scotsman, but I just love, because it's mad how, it just breaks your heart to see them fight against each other, but both wanted to fight, and that's ingrained in the Irish, like, they are tough bastards, man.
they're lovely.
It's fucking tough.
They are tough.
To the grandparents, to the kids, like, there's something, like we talk about the DNA, there's definitely something in our DNA, they're just strong. If you go into war, you would want the Irish with you. Because
I do have, gosh, I love the Irish.
yeah. I don't understand a fucking word they say. They probably say the same about me, but there's just something about them. Something, they're wired different.
Yeah, but they get on with life too.
Yeah.
They've got a massive future together.
Yeah, hopefully everything stays peaceful there. So yes, so seeing you're in that job then, like, I know we've touched on human trafficking now. How big is human trafficking? People say now it's now took over the drug trade.
I don't know in terms of that statistic, but it's there's so much money funding.
Harvesting the organs. So how, as a father yourself and grandfather, like, how was it bad 70s, 80s, because it just seems to be more popular now, of how luxurious this business and trade actually is, because there's millions of people missing every year, and like you say, it's not just prostitution, it's they're harvesting their organs, their heart, their kidneys is big on the black market, so it's not just a case of selling a kilo of coke, which you'll never see again. With kids or human trafficking, it's a revolving door with the money that you can make.
And I think that's interesting because one talks about punishment narcotics, and of course you counter narcotics unless they're going to human trafficking. Human trafficking, if they're going forward. I'm interested in what a couple of days ago they got set up to stop and look out for fraud initiative that's just come from the government and the police and certain the national crime agency. That now costs the UK just bought online. So therefore we've had to move to counter that in a way. The world, because we no longer have barriers, and we have these things called boundaries or free states, but really forget it. Everything boundaries are porous. And that is just great. Certainly some use in the great
What do you think of putting borders up so people can't come across the waters and just immigrating because if it's more to protect your own without there's just so much you can't just pinpoint certain people to do certain things because every colour, every nation, everybody does things in every country, but should there be more borders and more control of who's coming in and out?
No, what we need is more cooperation. One of the problems in 5 and 6 was tracking terrorists across borders, and you find that the laws are different. I mean, for instance, you can't use telephone interception to stop terrorists. You go over to Belgium, for instance, and you might not be able to use Canadian because those are no identity. So all these laws are different, and you are trying to deal with international crime. And these organisations just take advantage of it. We would actually have to pinpoint jurisdiction where the law worked better for us to prosecute terrorists without trying to manoeuvre them there than having them prosecuted in the UK.
So what should change then? Should it all
international cooperation?
So it's really, do you think, one law and the one understanding of if you think you should use the British law if you went to another country and say we can use this law as a British, like for instance the laws here are different from everywhere else, but if you know as an international criminal, do you think there should be a green light to say let us start from what the laws that we have in the UK, or would that just be a free-for-all for them?
I think it's a free-for-all, yeah. I think it is harmonised.
It's a fine line though, isn't it, to then, so why does not everybody work together then? Is it money or is it, what is it is involved? Is that what it is? Because listen, Britain's invaded over 90% of the world. Are we right? Anywhere? Have we got a rough understanding? Or do people always try and feel as if we're trying to take from them?
Well, it's really curious. I remember one of the things that we used to love doing was operating in France or Belgium or something like that, because overseeing this difficulty that I explained earlier about converting intelligence into evidence to use in court. In France, let's say particularly in France, we used to go to the examining judge, and we could go to him, and we would give him all the evidence that we could have, all the intelligence we had, and he would sift through it as we were going through the operation, and he would tell us at that particular point, yes, you can use this evidence to go to trial, no, you needn't use that evidence to go to trial. So instead of us guessing, trying to anticipate what this guy would actually tell us and we won't know exactly how the trial would progress, that makes sense.
Yeah. I thought everybody would be working together though.
When I suggested this to an MP who I got made, he said, he said, if you suggested that we use the French system in the United Kingdom, you'd hear the laughter from Parliament in Paris. That's the sort of attitude.
That's fucking strange. I thought everybody would be controlled by the same organisation. I thought it would be one person calling the shots from everywhere. I thought the bloggers and all that bullshit and it was just all an exaggeration of the politics and people do this. But that actually happens, there is.
And that's why, I said earlier,
yeah, no, it's fine.
That's why I said earlier, more attention to politics,
So there's a lot of things that so much red tape for people to then make moves on certain things because of pride or no, you're not getting in or
your legal system isn't as good as ours.
See, that's why I thought they all had the secret meetings to say okay, this and that. So I thought everything would have been not a free for all but an understanding of okay, just go and get them. So they can actually stop you from going in and working there as well.
Well, at the agency level, the police level, there's cooperation. It's at the legal level that gets the problem. The law.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it would have been some European courts or some system to say, listen, let them in. Would have been people higher up just to let someone get on with it. I genuinely, again, that just shows you the lack of intelligence and the lack of knowledge ones who have. They understand what actually goes on in the system.
I think that was probably the hardest part of my job.
Is that the most frustrating part of the job?
Well, not distressing, but I think it was hard trying to get people to understand the ministry that hanging on to the British common law in the case of the world was actually depends largely on civil code. Isn't necessarily any different.
Is Britain still at force?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, still a strong force. Yeah. Because obviously with the lack of funding and I don't know if we get money in the military that we used to have as well. But I just know, why are we a strong force then? Is that because of intelligence and also the SES and lack of numbers when you look at China and Russia and other countries, but why are we a strong force?
Well, special forces are hugely respected by us.
Yeah, in the world, yeah. The best, I believe, right off.
Absolutely.
And I've talked to guys in the Navy SEALs and that, and there's always going to be everybody thinks they're better than another, but the SES are massively respected.
The intelligence agencies are recognized as
The best.
I'd like to say that, yeah.
They're going to say that anyway, but yeah, I'm going to be biased because you work there.
Yeah. No, I don't know what it's about.
Yeah.
But on a balance view, yes, that's very impressive. I think also it's that you spoke earlier about South British, and we were sort of talking about, well, actually, we like to sort of go on with it. If anybody comes and takes our art, but on the whole, and I think the world generally is to understand themselves. Certainly you. We were the balances between the various states, and they still do.
A lot of people think the opposite though, because we have been so ruthless in the past and kind of like it's really invading it and it's strong. It's a strong fucking nation. It's very strong and it's mad to think because of the population here, it's not that big.
No. But we do some sort of a whole lot.
Yeah. So what, again, the Brexit, so you were against that?
Oh, yes.
Why did you?
I think people will miss it. It's not really a good go back to that's possible.
I think that's damaging to work in the UK for travel and money. I know all this stuff now, but it's more for people's businesses aren't the same as well because of stocks not getting delivered on time and everything's kind of upside down.
And if you're in Europe, you really look to stay with us with all the difficulties of somewhere else.
What makes the world better?
Cooperation. Meeting up forces, hearts and minds, trying to see the other person's point of view, trying to match it to your own.
Who do you think should be leading the UK?
I don't go politics.
Do you know? Why?
A, because you couldn't really do it if you were working in the parliament, because you have to be completely open and
Balance.
not really fighting which other government is there today. Right, going back on that,
That's you're right, but is that to stay off, is that just to support anything that's happening in the UK, just to say,
no,
I'll just not get involved?
To give balance to fight. No, it's really to give balance to fight. I think the other thing is, as a lawyer, one likes to work from teams.
Yeah.
Where can you actually get the facts unless you're operating newspapers all have a slide. And I prefer to stay out of politics and keep my thoughts.
Would you have done any job for any man size or my size?
Well, I mean, you certainly wouldn't do a job.
Yeah, of course, but can you do, is a job for you just to do, or can you reject it if you didn't like it? You didn't,
No, I mean, I think the beauty of working is the fact you're working with people who are bright enough, clever enough, and can understand. But if you're going to do something illegal, you're doing reckoning. You're just reckoning your investigation, and A, because you want to get it caught, B, because you'll be found out, and that undermines the whole of the I mean, at the time when I joined, we had definitely a response and we had this idiot supervisor witness stupid talk that the government tried to stop. This undermines the agency.
Yeah, what happened? Peter, like, what would you got a bit that came back?
He had a bee in his bonnet about some of his colleagues who thought the production style. And he actually left it. But when you look at it, it's not really possible.
Again, the British never had to stop anything. I thought, well, they can say that when they can do this and do that. I thought there was so much power out there that anything could be bought. So it surprises me that there's a life to release the Britain Australia that they just let it happen without pulling a plug on it. That's crazy for me. I just thought everybody was working together. Like when you talk about France and everybody laughing because they think fuck the British, like it's just puzzling. When again, that's how these podcasts are important, to give people an understanding that not everybody's in agreement with each other.
Well, it's freedom of speech. I mean, provided he wasn't actually damaging national security. Again, it was on the cusp of everything was dreadfully secret during the Cold War. So the sea change was absolutely massive. We couldn't even prosecute terrorists. We couldn't prosecute terrorists before
Why?
because we couldn't convert intelligence into evidence. They didn't have the structure to it, they weren't registered. So how can you could go to a secret for the positive state, but you couldn't go into holiness. I mean, if you're dealing with terrorists, you must have an ultimate because otherwise they're feeding terrorism. The terrorists are so difficult to come up with this way. Go out to court and just the evidence you're much more comfortable. So
What's it like? Working with terrorists? What's it like? How's that feeling?
That's down to the officers. I just feel here's someone who's doing something wrong, knows, try and bring that person too far. And therefore, from my perspective, that was the objective. And didn't feel anything other than wrong.
Yeah,
Terrorists?
Yeah, I watched an interview and he said something about terrorists should have rights or something. What was it he says?
Yes,
Found that interesting.
Terrorists do have rights.
Yeah, what sort of rights?
They have a right to life, unless they have a right to they can't do that. They have a right not to talk. That's why
What was that?
When they're water and half down.
Yeah, I always thought the torture tactics was what it was all about. But the terrorists, I think, talk to them, man, talk to them. But it's, that's what I thought it was all about. I don't know if that's because of the movies that we watch all through the years. And we, in their minds, we believe that it's all what's real. But you actually break it all down, we're so far from the truth. Nobody really knows what goes on. Obviously you'll see enough, but you'll have that much information that you die with. Which is a good thing, again, because people would be shit scared if they actually knew what was going on in the real world. Do you think fear is a big part of control on this planet? People can control these areas?
Yes, that's something I agree with that.
Yeah.
Blackmail, bribery, extortion, and just fear for one's own sake.
How long did you work? What's the intelligence for?
About 9 years.
Do you miss it? Why?
Well, I left because I thought I'd done enough. It was a kind of massive change, and I got to the point where the change that I'd done there were one or two other things that I wanted to achieve, but I saw that I couldn't because I wasn't going to take within.
With the knowledge that you have and the life that you've led, what do you think life is, David?
I think one just got to get on with it. I mean, some people do have major problems, obviously, with the awful thing that was happening. But I think my wife has a brilliant expression for it. She was at school as well for 7 years, so, we match.
You get an understanding of each other.
We have a total understanding.
Yeah.
It's that sort of boarding school syndrome. We've got to get on or die.
Yeah. It's like fucking life, man. Like you say, you've just got to keep showing up. You've just got to keep going. And this environment, I don't want to bring people down because I've battled mental health and I've had drink and drugs in the past where I've escaped. But there comes a stage where I done, fuck this, man. I need to make changes.
You said you'd escape. My view of that is maybe you didn't escape. You've got yourself together, which takes a huge amount of time. I find that impressive. I really do. It's the sort of courage to see in yeah, don't say you escaped. You didn't yourself, and that's huge.
How important is it to have a good woman by your side?
Absolutely. Because they keep you out of the eyes of stars. What do I call the eyes of stars?
Me, mate. I should change my name to fucking Ivory Tower. That's me. I think I've got ego, I've got fucking issues where I struggle, I think, to commit, if I'm honest. I think back in the days where I think you were married at 17, 18, and you were peaceful and you worked at it, you know, the struggle when the shit hit the fan, you spoke it out. You maybe had a little argument from time to time, but you spoke it out and you didn't leave. Everybody's walking away from each other now, David. Everybody's soft where there's no communication that we spoke about earlier, and that saddens me. I don't, again, social media comes into play because there's so many options. We've got screens just full of women and bikinis and everybody's in contact with each other. So again, from your own perspective, is it for a good woman in life, you feel that gives you, like you say, balance?
Absolutely. Yeah. And she's balanced. I mean, her philosophy taught her by her headmistress at school was life is tough, life is like easy. And if things are hard, don't try to floor, don't start wallowing in something. Which I think is I think those two really do help get one.
I think we can feel sorry for ourselves too much. Feels as if the world is against us. You've actually been to these third world countries, you've seen what the struggle is. I think we've got it too easy.
No, I think there are a lot of people, who really do have a hard life, laid off the difficulty is trying to see how one can help them more. And it's not just a question of trust and attention, it's a question of more just going out and meeting them and trying to help them forward. Not that I'm saying that they do, but I think that if you just handle that a really good you yourself reach out to them and get comfort on what's going on. I find that very impressive.
Yeah, but I just, it's an understanding, because everybody's different. It's an understanding of everybody's life, whether it's the criminal, whether it's the agent, whether it's the SCS guy, the homeless guy, the billionaire. Everybody's different because they've got different levels of trauma, but I've spoken to people with 100% worse trauma than me who are happier than me as well. It's everything to do with how you perceive the world, how you want to make the changes to then be better at it. Nothing changes unless you do.
No, and I'm glad you said that because I do agree with that entirely. I think it is done. Going back to some individuals, I think it's a hell of a lot than others.
But they take a better future than the ones who've not had a hard.
Sure, I think that's right. And as I say, it all goes back to Scarlet Law.
Just get on with it.
Get on with it.
Do something. That's it for me as well. For anybody watching or listening, just show up, just push forward, whether it's walking or cutting the garden or painting the house, just do something to take your mind off of what you're struggling with. But again, a lot of people are sticking themselves into fucking drugs and drink and crazy shit there online, and they're just becoming more lost to their true potential. And everybody's got massive potential, and that's the scary thing. Everybody's got greatness and everybody's got something special in them. They can dig deep and make changes, and it doesn't matter what age you are. People in their 70s, 80s, 90s who are learning new instruments, learning new languages, fucking doing new things where it's never over until it's over.
And you're absolutely right. Everybody has an ability to do something and achieve something.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
How many books have you wrote, David? And what's the key book?
The latest one's coming out in
April?
Yeah. And that's Chapter's first, I think.
Is that the follow-up to your first?
Yeah, it's a follow-up to the first.
And you're going to do 4 of them, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Where can people buy your book?
At Waterstones and magazine.
Where do you go forward for the future, David?
Well, we'll write the next, we're in the starting the next book, which is the stringer, which is set in Siberia. Before we go for a country, since the last two books we've got.
I can go to Scotland then.
That's a very good point.
Go to Scotland. Is that where you're finding your sort of peace and your new kind of drive in life? Has it been an offer?
Yes, we, as I say, because, I found that, my granddaughter's life and got close to that spies, I haven't sort of thought about that. It was at that point, she was a prostitute. And Dr. Mining was saying that of the women in the that's sort of very talented on the one hand, but as I said, you do not on the other hand. So yes, and we spent some time, Carrie and I write together, and we spent some time after the first book, which we published 15 years ago. We got caught into writing short films, and sort of thought, well, that's all great fun, but why not write a book? And that's the catalyst was him, unfortunately. Really fascinating. And we sort of thought, oh yeah, Catherine would be great, and she's Russian. And, Russian.
Like I say, I've come across every culture and basically every country now, and I've travelled all over the world, and I get on with people. No matter, I could sit anywhere. I could genuinely sit anywhere and have a conversation and have a laugh. And I'm surprised because my accent's so strong. I think people may just be laughing at the accent and thinking, what the fuck is this guy saying? But whatever it is, it's working, and you have got a fascinating story and an interesting story, particularly you've worked with the intelligence that you have of where the world operates, and people are intrigued by it because there's not many people speak out against MI5s and MI6, and to get the clearance of it, it shows you how well respected you are in that field. You're not saying anything stupid or betray yourself, because everything will be calculated with you. You're a very good chess player where you're already steps ahead of everybody else, because in that job they only want the best from you, and they want the best of the best, and you've lived that, you've learnt from it, you've experienced yourself from it, and you're a top guy from it as well.
Which is why I think you're a very good agent, Ronnie, because you use flattery perfectly.
You've done it?
It's brilliant.
Yeah, thank you. But again, that's why you're the best, because you see through my bullshit, do you know what I mean? If I was to interview an MI5 or MI6 every time, I'd do a fucking job. For anybody that's watching, David, that's in a life of struggle right now, what advice would you have for them?
I'd have those, just keep going. Look for the best that you can possibly see and go for it. But it may, if you have to make a change, you may just maybe. Don't think too much about that.
David, would you like to finish up on anything else?
No, just to say thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think I've said far too much. It's been a pleasure. Thanks very much.
And thanks for your time for coming on. I wish you nothing but the best with the future, and good luck with the book, David.
Thanks very much indeed.